What's going on today, YouTubers? Welcome to another edition of Walking Reviews. Today we're going to be taking a look at a knife that I guess would straddle that line between production and mid-tech. This is the newest offering from Liong Mah, and he does these kind of sprint run designs that are, I believe, manufactured by Reate, but they carry the Liong Mah logo and not the Reate logo. So I guess that's why I say it kind of straddles the line. I think they do most of the legwork and then he kind of puts the finishing touches on them. So I guess it would straddle that line between production and mid-tech. But before I get too ahead of myself, let's jump into the specs. So this has a 3 1/4 inch blade of CPM S35VN, and as far as I can recall, this is the smallest that Liong has done in these kind of Reate sprint run knives of his. 3 1/4, I believe, is the smallest. Before that, I think it was like 3 1/2 or thereabouts. This isn't like his normal. Normally he makes them like 3 3/4, that sort of length. So it was nice to have something a little bit smaller. So the name of this knife is the Lanny Clip Flipper, and it does have a sort of clip point blade shape, but that's about where it ends as far as similarities to a Lanny's clip, because you can see it's got this kind of compound grind where the majority of this straight cutting edge is this fairly deep hollow grind, which leaves it very thin behind the edge. And one of the reasons I own 3 of these Reate sprint runs of Liong is because they always have such an amazing edge on them. I can always count on them doing really great work before it goes out. This just has a fantastic edge on it. And then up here towards the tip, it is a flat grind. So you can see it's a little bit thicker towards that tip there. Overall, functionally, I don't know that it does a whole lot different than if it was just all hollow, other than gives it a very unique look. So you have this kind of grinder satin on the tip and the flat, and then this stonewash in the hollow ground portion. It gives it a really unique look to it. One that I definitely like. I know not a lot of people, and myself, I'm not a huge fan of like really crazy compound grinds. Other than looks, they usually don't offer much at all. But this one is perfectly functional, and it does add a little bit of flavor, so I'm a fan. It does have these little grooves here on the flats, and initially I thought maybe he was going to intend those to be to open the knife with, but you really can't get your finger in there to open it. Plus the D10 is pretty dialed in as a flipper. You can see it's incredibly smooth, but it's dialed in to be a flipper. You can even flip it with your thumb. So yeah, 3 1/4 inches on the blade, 4 1/4 inches on the handle for 7 1/2 overall. Really just enough handle to get your full 4-finger grip. So you can see that this is like a bolster lock, with the frame being made out of titanium and then the carbon fiber overlay. And both the carbon fiber and the titanium have this really beautiful finish along the edges. This really kind of deep groove here, and then all the edges have been chamfered as well. The bolster areas have an orange peel finish. This pivot is new to the Liong Mah knives, and they've done a beautiful blue anodization, but the pivot itself just really stands out. It is still Torx adjustable, but it's just got that really unique look to it. I'm really enjoying the new pivot hardware. All of the hardware, aside from the pocket clip and the back spacer, so like all the screws have been anodized that really deep blue color. You can see it's got the filler tab over here, so the pocket clip is reversible. Sorry about that, I had a bug on the face. The back spacer here, which is quarter length, has also got that same orange peel finish, and it's got the gear pattern and a little groove there as well. Other than that, it's open construction. Let's see if I can show this to you. There's the blade stop right there. It's almost hidden because of the way that it's curved there and then curved when the blade is open. You really almost can't see it. So it's like kind of like a faux hidden blade stop. You can see that the contour along the titanium continues along the top and then back down the other side. Give you a look at the overall profile of the knife. Not a super like slim knife, but not what I would call like beefy or overbuilt by any means. You can see though, the blade stock is pretty substantial. For a 3¼ inch blade, it's pretty substantial blade stock. Give you a look at the centering, it's spot on perfect. There's no blade play when the blade is locked open, and you can see it does have that steel lock bar insert. Lockup is right at about 30%. There's the lock bar cutout. This knife is definitely one of the smoothest of his that I've owned. I've had some that flip maybe just a hair harder, but this one just drops closed perfectly. Just extremely, extremely smooth. And this is pretty much brand new right now. I jumped this review way ahead of schedule. As far as like, I had other knives that have been waiting for reviews, but I jumped this one ahead of schedule, A, because it just came out and he made a very limited number, so I wanted to kind of get the review done before the pre-sale sells out. And B, just because I was really impressed, and this is a knife that is available, like you can get this pretty much exact knife, whereas like a custom knife, I don't mind waiting on those a little bit longer because you really have a hard time finding those. So the carbon fiber is void free as far as I can tell. I have not seen a single void. It's gorgeous, kind of like that marble look. Really beautiful carbon fiber. It's got great shimmer in the light. You're not going to see too much of that right now because it's kind of like dusk around here. But yeah, a fairly slim profile, carries pretty darn deep in the pocket. I'd say probably my least favorite portion of the knife is probably the clip. It's a little weird looking. Functionally it's fine. It's just a little weird. I don't know that it flows super well. I guess it does, I mean, but just it looks so, I don't know, it just looks off with the rest of the knife in my eyes. But that's just for me. I think my dog found something. Nope, just digging for the sake of digging. Yeah, anyways, it does run on the caged bearings that you'll find on just about every Reate knife. Same detent, same bearings. It's just dialed in perfectly to give it that super duper smooth drop close type action. Normally when it comes to blade stock this thick, it tends to affect cutting performance, but because of how dramatic that hollow is, super thin behind the edge. It's going to cut everything. It does have that really long run of jimping on the blade spine there, and ergonomically just fine. Not much as far as like dramatic grooves or anything like that, but this is about all you can ask for. This contouring does help, as does the jimping up here on the blade spine. You can see it's got just the tiniest little cutout for the lock bar relief, so no stick there. I'm trying to think if there's anything that I can find at fault with the knife, and other than that pocket clip, which just maybe isn't my taste, I really cannot find a single fault with this knife. They really knocked it out of the park. So as far as price wise, this is actually one of the less expensive of his sprint runs, but it's not cheap. For a limited time, I think for the first like week or so, it's going to be $375, and then it's going to jump to $415. In the $375 range, this is about as good as you can find. It's exceptionally well made, pretty much top of the line materials. Fit and finish is really just immaculate, and it's got a lot of great design elements to it. Obviously this blade wasn't a simple grind, neither was the pivot hardware or the orange peel finish. Those things are all like extras when it comes to producing a knife. So I definitely understand the price. There's another knife that I'm going to be reviewing shortly in this same price range, and it's actually the new Giant Mouse knife. And while that's a well-made knife, I don't think it offers you nearly as much in the form of either functionality or kind of good looks that this knife does. And that's right in that same price range, so this does definitely have quite a bit to offer. If you're a fan of Reate knives in general, and you've ever seen kind of the sprint runs that Liong collaborates with them for, this is maybe one of the best, if not the best, of those knives. And you know that Reate makes just impeccable stuff. So alright guys, that's going to wrap up this quick review of the new Lanny's clip flipper from the Liong Mah design team. Stay tuned, I've got a ton of other reviews that I have to get done. I know I say that every time, but I need to start making at least a few a week, so I'm that backed up. Alright guys, take it easy.